Hey, what's up everybody? VitalSyntax here. This is some more gameplay from CSGO. I actually recorded some live commentary while I was playing this match, and then after I recorded it, I went back and listened to it. I realized that I had forgotten to set the microphone settings in DxTory, so I didn't end up recording anything. So essentially I was just talking to myself for, the whole game. But anyway, this is one of the better matches I've had recently in CSGO. I've been playing this game quite a bit. And I've been really enjoying it. I think it was a little bit easier for me to get into Counter-Strike on Global Offensive than it was for Source, because I'm coming in from the same point that a lot of other people are coming in at. Like, when I used to play Source, I felt like, and I didn't play a whole lot of it, but I felt like I was behind the game. Everybody else was better than me. Everybody else knew the maps. Everybody else kind of had this preset of skills that I wasn't, that I didn't have. And I felt like I was always just getting destroyed, and there's nothing I could do about it. But in Global Offensive, I feel like I'm kind of starting at the same point. Yeah, other people have, experience with previous games, and a lot of the mechanics are going to carry over, but I don't know. There's definitely a lot of new players in CSGO that are in the same boat as me, and there's probably more returning players, but I don't know. I've had an easier time transitioning into Counter-Strike with Global Offensive. And speaking of transitions, I recently have gone back and played Battlefield a couple times, and they did just release a new patch for Battlefield, so I'll probably have to do some videos on that soon. There's some weapon rebalances and preparation for Armored Kill, which I'm pretty excited for. Not super excited, but pretty excited. But after I went back and played Battlefield 3 over the past couple weeks, just from coming from Counter-Strike, I don't know, I get really frustrated at the gunplay, and I think part of it is I feel like there's more bullshit kills or bullshit deaths in Battlefield than there are in Counter-Strike. Just as I think there's more bullshit deaths in Call of Duty than there is in Battlefield. And I don't know, I kind of have that same frustration that I have when I went back and played Call of Duty after playing Battlefield, of feeling like I would die to just really stupid stuff. And it happens a little bit in Battlefield. Now, not a whole lot. I mean, I'm not saying that Battlefield is by any means as bad as far as gunplay goes as Call of Duty. But it's just not there. It's not quite as adequate as Counter-Strike. And I think one of the main reasons that I enjoy the Counter-Strike gunplay more than the Battlefield gunplay is its emphasis on headshots, which has a huge emphasis on skill and accuracy. Because if you try and shoot somebody with, let's say, an AK-47, I think it'd probably take 4, 5, maybe even 6 bullets to kill somebody. I don't know the damage output. I haven't played this game quite enough to know. But that'd be my guess, somewhere in there. Or you can just shoot them in the head, 1 bullet, and they die. And it just puts the emphasis on being accurate and taking your time and taking that one shot, and you can outshoot basically anybody. It basically allows the skill ceiling, or aka a really good player, to have a huge advantage, or an experienced player, or somebody that has good accuracy, to have a big advantage over somebody that doesn't know how to aim, or maybe doesn't know how to control recoil, because the weapons do have a lot of recoil. I mean, it depends on what weapon we're talking about, but like the AK-47 or the M4 has a lot of recoil. I mean, something like the P90 doesn't have a ton of recoil, or some of the other submachine guns don't have a lot of recoil, but the primary guns that people would stick to, the AK and the M4, have a lot of recoil, and you have to tap fire. And that was, I think these are things I've already gone over in my basics tutorial that I did a couple weeks ago, or a couple days ago. Yeah, it was a couple weeks ago for Counter-Strike, but I'll just go over them again real quick. I think the key things to improve at Counter-Strike that you can do just right off the bat that are really easy to do is, number one, lower your mouse sensitivity by a lot. I'm currently playing at 500 DPI on my mouse, and in-game I believe it's at 0.5 sensitivity, maybe 0.75 sensitivity. And I also believe I have my Windows sensitivity set to 5 instead of 6. So I have my sensitivity more than cut in half, like cut in a third, or cut in 3, whatever, you know what I'm saying. 1/3 of what it used to be. Before I changed my sensitivity. And the reason I changed my sensitivity is because one of my friends, Gwee, who was in my Battlefield platoon back in when I was playing with those guys for Battlefield 3 and Squad Rush, he had told me that was one of the best things you could do, and he's totally right. you get so much more accurate when you have a larger surface area to move your mouse around. It's not a question of preference. It's a fact that the more surface area you're working with, the more fine-grained your accuracy can be, and therefore the more accurate you can be. And the next one is learning how to control your fire. You want to stand still and tap fire to be perfectly accurate. If you want to get a headshot, you need to be standing still or crouching and aim at their head, obviously, and just fire your shot one at a time. You don't want to, tap fire really fast, because you'll have to get used to it, and that's something that I've been working on. And that's why I like the dynamic reticle. You can go in and change the reticle to whatever you want. A lot of people like to use the classic static, which is just like the 4 little lines in the middle of the screen. But I'm personally not used to the recoil quite enough to play comfortable. And that was a nice shot. I have to admit, that was pretty lucky. To play comfortably without the dynamics on. I like being able to see exactly how accurate my shot is going to be before I pull the trigger. So I like to play on that with the dynamic crosshair. I think it makes it a little bit easier. And actually the dynamic one's really nice too, with instead of the classic dynamic, there's the normal dynamic, which is the CSGO one. It gives you 2 different lines. It gives you your first shot accuracy, the lines that are pointing inwards, the ones that aren't moving quite as much when I walk, and then the other ones that are kind of facing vertical on the left and right and facing horizontal on the top and bottom. Those are your recoil. So if you crouch, you'll see that those kind of go towards the middle there, and you'll be a little more accurate when you're going full auto or burst firing. But you're not going to have a more accurate single shot fire. Just at least as far as I can tell. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's what it seems like to me. So aside from, and that's another one I want to point out, is if you do go full auto, that was a perfect example of it. And here's actually me shooting at a wall. I actually pointed this out when I was doing live commentary. That's why I was shooting at the wall. But anyway, when you do go full auto, and there are some cases when you should, because if you're at close range, there's very little chance you're going to pull off a headshot, because your enemy's moving too fast and you don't have enough time to worry about aiming properly. You don't want to shoot at their chest or at their head, because their bolts are going to go over them. And it was really confusing, at least for me, when I first picked up Counter-Strike, because there aren't any other games like that. I don't think that the recoil works like that in other games, where the bullets actually go above where you're aiming. Typically recoil, and there is still like the recoil of your gun or your screen. But in other games, like when you pull the trigger, your whole screen starts moving upwards. Whereas this game, it still has that, I think it's called view kick recoil, but it also has like the accuracy recoil of you're not actually shooting in the middle of your crosshair anymore. You're actually shooting above your crosshair, so you need to aim at their feet, or sometimes even below their feet. And I think there's, yeah, right here you can see I'm shooting below his feet, and the bullets are going into his chest / neck head region. And that's just something you're gonna have to get used to, and that's hopefully a lot of people already know that. I'm guessing they do, but for a new player like me, that was something that was not common sense, and I was shooting over people all the time when I first started. And I think the other thing is just map knowledge. I think that's a key ingredient in any first-person shooter, but I think more so in this game, because you only have one life, at least if you're playing, if you're playing the deathmatch mod, then that's a different story. And that's actually probably a really good way to get used to this game and get used to the weapons, is just playing deathmatch. You can just search for deathmatch or team deathmatch or something in the server list, and there's plenty of servers that have deathmatch mods running. And I forgot what I was going to say about deathmatch. Oh no, I was talking about map knowledge. Just knowing there's not a whole lot of maps that come with the game. Most of the maps are rehashed or redesigned maps from older Counter-Strikes. There are some new ones. I don't think there's any new ones in the classic competitive or the casual competitive mode. I think that they're probably in ARM. I know the ARM race ones are new, and I think the demolition ones are new, but I could be wrong. And oh my gosh, those flashbangs are so powerful. But knowing the map is just so important. So if you can do whatever you can to get used to the maps, whether that's just playing or playing deathmatch or playing versus bots. I think I said that in my other how-to beginners tutorial video when I was talking about that is playing against bots. I think is a good way to get used to the game. And here's actually, you can see, I was aimed right on that guy, and it looked like I pulled the trigger, but I actually didn't. That's kind of a trick that you'll see people do. And I wasn't really sure what they were doing at first. Is you switch between your weapons really fast. You press, for me, it's 2 and 1 really fast, because when you ADS with a sniper, or when you ADS with a sniper and you shoot, it's a bolt action sniper, so you have to pull the bolt, and then you'll zoom back into the zoom level that you were on, and you have to zoom out. So instead of doing that, what a lot of people do is they'll switch weapons. Excuse me. They will switch weapons back and forth real fast, so that they're zoomed out before they start zooming in to fire another shot. And I don't know, that's something that I have still been getting used to. And you can see what I was talking about earlier. That was a perfect example of me forgetting to pull the trigger or click before actually switching weapons and switching back. And that was just a pretty bad example, because I just totally forgot to click. But luckily I didn't forget to click those 2 times and got 2 nice kills and a headshot. And another one. And then another thing I want to talk about is that I really like about Counter-Strike. And I know I was talking about the weapon, or the gunplay, and how it really emphasizes skill a lot more than, not a lot more, but more than Battlefield, I think, and a lot more than Call of Duty, because Call of Duty is just spray and pray mostly. But another thing I really like about it is how the weapons are balanced, because they really don't need weapon balance. I mean, there is weapon balance, but it's not in the same sense, because in Battlefield or Call of Duty, you actually get to make your class. You can choose any gun, and you don't have to, you can just have it. And every time you spawn, you have that gun. But in Counter-Strike, you actually have to earn the gun. So if you do well, you can buy good guns. I mean, everybody agrees that the AK or the M4 is better than a P90. Everybody agrees, at least most people, I would think. Everybody agrees that the Deagle is better than a Glock. And because of this, I mean, it's not a matter of them trying to balance and make all the weapons equal, because you can't just access all the weapons at any given time. You actually have to earn those weapons. So they want to have weapons that are better than other weapons. The AWP is better than the Scout Sniper. That's, it's not a one-hit kill, so the AWP is a one-hit kill. And the better players that do better, and it's not necessarily just getting kills, it's doing assists, it's playing the bomb, it's defusing the bomb, or if it's a different objective, it might be getting hostages, bringing them back to the base. You get points for that, and you can spend that money on the weapons, and therefore it kind of negates the problem that a lot of other games are conflicted with, of weapon balance. And they do still have to balance weapons. I mean, if there was one weapon that was way too good and didn't cost enough, then that would obviously be a balance problem. But that's one of the problems that I think Battlefield and basically every other shooter has. I mean, if you look at Battlefield 3, at least, once again, they did just release a patch for it, so I don't know exactly what the weapons are like right now. But up until this point, the M16A3 with a Cobra sight and a heavy barrel has just been the go-to gun for everybody, and everybody knows that. And it feels like if you don't use that setup and you get killed by somebody with it, it's just like, that's not fair. It's the only reason or not the only reason, but the main reason you killed me, or maybe not even the main reason, but one of the reasons you killed me, is because you're using that loadout and I'm not. So anyway, I know I was kind of blabbing on in this video, but anyway, if you enjoyed the video, feel free to give me a like or a favorite. I ended up with a pretty good score of 20 and 6. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Peace.